bienvenidos a un nuevo de Gamer Alexander.
Yo soy Carlos. Y hoy vamos a hacer un video en una serie nueva. ¿Qué va a ser esa serie, hijo?
Vamos a ir a visitar nuevos lugares. Vamos a ir a visitar lugares asombrosos y eso.
Vamos a ir en aventuras. Sí, vamos a ir en aventuras por todo el mundo. Y el primer lugar que vamos a ir es...
Julian.
Estamos en San Diego y vamos a manejar a los cerros, a la ciudad de Julian. ¿Y qué hay en Julian?
Montañas, ¿no?
¿Pero qué vamos a ver en las montañas?
Pues supongo que
Vamos a ir a una mina y esta mina se llama Eagle Mine.
a la mina del águila.
La mina del águila, Eagle Mine. Y es una mina que está abierta, que vamos a poder entrar, vamos a explorar y también vamos a buscar si encontramos oro.
No creo que podamos. Y si lo hacemos nos lo van a quitar.
Y también dicen que esta mina está embrujada.
No dicen eso tanto.
Entonces me puse mi suéter de calavera y mi cachucha de calavera porque yo voy a buscar fantasmas. Aunque no se trata de hacer videos de fantasmas, pero
No.
solamente de explorar. Pero si encontramos un fantasma va a estar chido.
Yo no creo. Te da un golpe.
Bueno, con eso ya está el intro. Ya que lleguemos allá, luego les doy una historia de la mina donde vamos a ir. Es una mina que le hicieron como 1800 no sé qué. No, luego les decimos toda la historia. Pero por ahorita estamos en la camioneta, estamos echando gasolina y vamos a agarrar camino. Tenemos que manejar como por 1 hora. Pero bueno, bye. Ok, entonces ya vamos a empezar a manejar, pero antes de eso vamos a agarrar...
Desayuno.
¿Qué vamos a desayunar? ¿Qué estaría más rico? Vamos a agarrar Jack in the Box porque le encantan los desayunos de Jack in the Box a mi hijo. Antes agarramos siempre desayunos de McDonald's.
Pero pues ahora nos damos cuenta que eso era muy anticuado y malo porque me acordaba que el huevo que hacen ahí prácticamente parece como que apenas lo meten como 3 segundos ahí.
Sí, que parece como que el desayuno de McDonald's es como si estuviera crudo.
Está casi crudo.
Entonces mejor empezamos a agarrar desayunos de Jack in the Box y ahí lo cocinan un poquito más y está más rico. Entonces vamos a Jack in the Box y luego agarramos camino. Peace. ¿Qué? Como pueden ver, vamos por el Freeway 8 y aquí el GPS dice que tenemos 22 millas todavía para llegar. Vamos a ir a aquella montaña. Cuando cruzamos esas montañas vamos a llegar a Julian y sí, faltan 20 millas. Ay, no. Falta bastante, pero vamos bien.
Vamos, muy bien. Y pues ya estamos por acá en Cuyamaca, en un lugar, y se preguntarán, ¿por qué se llama Cuyamaca? Eso es tu explicación express.
¿La mía?
Sí.
Pues es que como pueden ver,
Me da vergüenza.
hace mucho aquí en California, México, Estados Unidos, antes había lo que le llamaban indios, pero ahora ya no se llamaban indios, no son los nativos, son los Native Americans, americanos nativos, las personas que vivían aquí antes de que vinieran los españoles, antes de que vinieran la gente de Inglaterra. Sí, antes de eso aquí vivía gente y esa gente estaba dividido en lo que les llaman naciones. Mira, dice Cuyamaca y Julian. Entonces, los indios o los nativos estaban divididos en lo que les llaman naciones.
Mira, Gutana Valley, como Gerudo Valley.
Oh, sí. Oh, mira qué bonito se ve.
Wow.
Entonces, estaba dividido, los nativos se dividían como en lo que le llaman naciones de indios. Y ya ven que habían muchas diferentes naciones. Estaban como los aztecas, los mayas, toltecas, los navajo,
Amaticayas.
todo eso.
Es una broma.
Pues los que vivían en esta área pues eran los Cuyamacas. Entonces toda esta área se llama Cuyamaca, el parque Cuyamaca, está el lago Cuyamaca, la montaña Cuyamaca. Todo esto le pertenecía a los Cuyamacas. Y está bien bonito aquí porque son puros ranchos y todo está verde, hay muchos árboles, hay como bosques, hay lagos, ríos, está bien bonito para acá. Luego vamos a explorar más todo esto. Hoy solamente vamos a ir a explorar la mina, pero otro día vamos a regresar para explorar más como los ranchos y los bosques. Hay un lugar donde hay cascadas, lagos, ríos que se miran bien bonitos.
Sí, demasiado.
Pero hoy solamente vamos a ir a la mina.
Sí, ahí se ve uno. No, yo no salgo muy bien porque hay un montón de árboles. Árboles. Wow. Lake you can. So, entonces significaría como cabañas con vista al lago.
Cuyamaca Lake, mira, acá enfrente puedes mirar. Aquí se estacionan todos los carros. Está llenísimo de carros. Toda la gente se estaciona aquí en los lados y ya se baja caminando para allá y ahí está el lago para ese lado.
Ahí se cambió de modo, automáticamente se cambió de modo. Ah, no importa, ya se me. Aquí podemos ver lagos. Ah, ahí dice Eagle Mine.
Eagle Mining Company.
Museo. Está muy mal, dice adulto más 13.
Y ahí dice Armed Sentry.
Eureka! There's gold in them there hills. Bet you at least I'm gonna throw it back in there for you to find. Dig in, let's see who can get the most. I'm hungry for apple pie. Let's hurry up. We need to get some cash in our pocket.
Wait, in here? Okay.
Okay. Mira, hay una cosa como los colos de Vegas de Gold, sí, qué chulo. Wow. Awesome.
Trying to settle. But sometimes the boat keeps hiding from you. There it is, right there in the crease of the pan.
No, it looks better.
Yeah, isn't that cool looking? So, I brought you a couple of pans over. So, this is the best way I can get you to remember this as a grandmother of 9, and some of them are just calling it 4 S's. The first S, scoop.
Scoop.
Second and third S, settle and shake
Settle.
under the water. Okay, when you
Okay.
have all your material.
Okay.
And then your fourth and final S, swish, 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 swish. Water in, water and all the light sand out. You'll get everything down to about that amount. And once you shake it with the water, you should be able to see your goal.
Perfect.
I'm going to let you guys do it.
Thank you.
Have a ball. And when you find it, say, Eureka!
Eureka!
That means I found it.
Alrighty. Ok. Vas a agarrar de la tierra del mero abajo. Ok, desde el mero abajo vas a sacar tierra. Así que toques abajo y agarra toda la tierra. Ok. Ahora con las dos manos. La haces así, acomoda toda la tierra en el plato. Ok. Acomódala así, mira, la vas a acomodar. Suéltalo. La vas a acomodar así que quede plana. Ok, ya que está plana, tienes que poner el plato en un ángulo con estas rayitas para abajo. Ajá, y tienes que hacerlo así, ándale así. Pero mételo todo en el agua, un poquito más, ándale así. Hazle un poquito más ángulo. Así. Perfecto. Ándale, así le vas a hacer. Lo que estás haciendo, estás sacando toda la tierra de arriba, que es la que está livianita, la estás sacando. Y la tierra pesada, que es la que tiene el oro, se va a quedar abajo. No te preocupes, lávate las manos con el agua. Así. Ok. ¿Las qué?
Las pulseras. Oh, los que. Oh, ya. Ya, sí, vamos
Let's come back tomorrow. There we go, excellent. San Diego on 3. 1, 2, 2.5, 3. San Diego. Who's next? Any takers, don't be shy. Get up there.
Great work.
One of those boom shackles. Oh, we got it. 3. Round two. San Diego on 3. 99. 98. 3. San Diego. I got 3. There we go. Next, anybody take it. Come on. Don't be scared. Heck yeah, video camera.
It's a video though, so you can get a screenshot.
Excellent. All right. 3, 2, 1. Earthquake. Oh my God,
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, folks. I'm losing my voice, so I'll be sipping on this Coca-Cola throughout the tour. Thank you for your patience. Let's have everyone come a little bit forward. So, have you had your geology lesson yet today?
No, sir.
All right, we've got some quartz rocks over here. How the heck does the gold get into this thing? Does anybody know?
No.
No, you don't. Let me tell you. So, I'll place this on the ground so I can use my hands. We were originally underneath the ocean floor, all of San Diego. During a convergent period, the tectonic plates converged, and when they did that, they made mountains like this. When that happens, it's like stacking up a bunch of big sheets of rock like books on a bookshelf. There are cracks between each one. We call those cracks or gaps fissures. Now, as the groundwater trickles down and hits the magma, it absorbs things from the magma. It creates steam and pressure and a geothermal or hydrothermal solution. Now, when that gets forced upwards into those fissures or cracks, it deposits quartz rock that has precious metals permeated throughout it. So to rewind that a little bit, the groundwater touches the magma and absorbs stuff from it. It's forced upward where it deposits that stuff it absorbs. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So how do they find those quartz rocks anyway? They basically form in big quartz veins is what they call them. We think of veins in our arm as circular, but these veins are flat. So how do they find those big flat veins of quartz? Through the process of erosion. Now, we were underneath the ocean floor, and I can prove that with this sedimentary rock. It kind of looks like sand from the ocean, right? Well,
Yep.
that other rock is a lot harder. That quartz rock that contains the gold, right? So as the rain washes this mountain away, it washes that sedimentary rock away very fast, leaving quartz outcroppings sticking out of the mountain. So the guys literally rode their horses over here, hopped off, walked around on foot until they stubbed their toe on a big white rock and said, hey, that's quartz. That goes all the way down. If we dug a hole into this mountain right here, we would hit that wall of quartz. We could take it out, break it up, and get gold out of it. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeehaw! Any questions? All right, so this is the Eagle Mine. We started in 1870. 1 year before this is when the San Diego Gold Rush was triggered by a gentleman named Fred Coleman. Fred Coleman was an ex-Confederate slave who had been freed by a Missouri family. He worked his way out here, and he was simply watering his horse down by the river. He saw something shiny in the sand. He grabbed his frying pan off his horse, scooped up the sand, panned the water off, and said,
Eureka!
there's gold in them hills! He headed down to San Diego to get his bourbon, his blasting powder, to stake his claim. And on the way there, he told everyone he saw what he found. On the way back, he told everyone what he found.
Oof.
By the time he got back to Coleman Creek, just outside of Winola, which we named after him, there was already 30 guys knee-deep panning for his gold. Soon a newspaper wrote an article about it, and the road from San Diego to Julian was covered in wagons, tents, hot holes from the wagons. Guys sleeping on their backs under the stars because they were too poor to buy a tent, but they were coming up here to get rich and buy one. Does anybody have any questions? Excellent. Well, they didn't have electricity back then, so we see some lights in here. They didn't have any lights back then. They would use something like this. Now, this is a candle inside a sardine can. The sardine can protected the hat from the flames and also reflected the light forward. These guys were independent contractors. That means they had to buy their own candles, buy their own pickaxes. One of the things they did to save money on candles was they wouldn't light their candle until they got to their workstation, meaning they entered the mine in the pitch black every day. How did they do that? Does everybody see that 1-ton ore cart right there? That's hooked up to a track. We can't see it right here, but we can see it in there. They would simply walk in the middle of that track and kick it with each foot as they took a step. They held one hand above their head to protect them from rocks, and they wouldn't light that candle until they got to their workstation. This saved them 5 cents a day. At the end of the week, that was about 25 cents. That bought them a bag of flour and some pork butter. These guys were not allowed to take a lunch break. 12-hour shift, keep on working. So they kept a pocket full of pork butt, a canteen around their arm. They take a bite of the meat, swig off the canteen, keep swinging that pickaxe. If the boss man caught them slacking, they were out. And there was a whole line of guys out here ready to take their job as they walked out. Any questions? Easy. I want to show you one more thing before we go in there. Now, this is called a chit tag. Every miner was required to grab one of these on his way in. It's got a number on it. On his way out, he put it right back where it was supposed to be. Why did he do that? Well, not just collapse. When they close this gate and lock it, there's 11 levels. We can't tell where everybody is in there. We want to make sure everyone that goes in comes out. Same thing for us today. Safety's our number one concern. Please watch your head. There are a lot of low-hanging rocks, a lot of low-hanging beams. Please watch your feet. That track raises and lowers with the dirt, so watch your footing. Please do not trip. Does anybody have any questions? Come with me. Let's go find our first quartz vein.
Okay.
Mira, hijo, ven. Estas son las piedras que te digo que antes era, ¿ves cómo se mira bien diferente?
Check out the star range. Check out that hallway. Don't go down it. Be sure to look up and see where they're looking for that vein. You can still see some pickaxe marks in here. Let's work our way through.
Oh, hijo, esta es la vena de la estrella que miramos en el video. No apagues tu luz, que apunta la luz cuando va a apuntar la cámara para que pueda ver. Dale.
Ahí había,
Alessandro, ven. Come. Yeah. Déjame tu luz. Vete allá conmigo. Sí, los escuché, los puedo escuchar.
Dynamite was a brand new product back then. They didn't trust it. It was expensive. You probably had to buy your own fuses. You had to ship it up from the city in a little horse cart. They already had gunpowder. They could control the size and power of their bombs. They would actually use their own fuses instead of buying fuses. So 400-foot deep tunnel, and it's now 425 foot deep. We actually lose a little bit every year due to rocks and dust falling in there. After you see that, check out the iron bucket that they use for hauling men and rocks. Take a right-hand turn, then a left, and we will enter the hoist room and gather around the big red engine. So, check out the scope, check out the shaft, right-hand turn, left-hand turn, and we're all headed to the hoist room. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
Whoa.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Excellent. They would put 2 men in that bucket, 1 leg in, 1 leg out. On busy days, they could put 4 guys in that bucket, hauling them down that 500-foot shaft back then. Pretty incredible.
Wow.
Excellent. Bombs at the rate of seconds to 1 feet. Targets of the division of industrial safety predicted use with bombs on faster than.
Well, just because, well, I mean, for one of the many reasons, all their tools were stored in here. You know, so they would close it off at the end of the night.
Okay.
A lot of powder man tools that are very much here.
Whoa, stop it up!
¿Qué es, hijo?
No, esa la salió para ir para arriba.
No puedes irte hasta allá, hijo.
Sí, hay una tapando.
Took it apart, brought it in piece by piece, reassembled it, and fired it up with no ventilation at all. We can see the black soot on the ceiling. Eventually they put a little vent up here at the top of the shaft, but a lot of soot, a lot of danger. They actually didn't know about carbon monoxide when they first put this in here. It had a cable on the spool right here. That cable went up to a truss system that was kind of like a tripod or A-frame, if you will, of beams. They've all collapsed now. We have 1 left. At the end of the cable with that bucket, men would go down or up, rocks would go up or down. This thing was very loud. They could not hear each other over the top of it, even yelling down there. They installed a bell system right here. You want to pull that forward, brother? Harder! There we go! They ran a rope from the bell all the way down the shaft. So guys on any level could lean out. Let's get this guy in here. We got plenty of room here, folks. We got someone still in the hallway. Thank you very much. Heck yeah, there we go. Welcome. So they ran a rope from this all the way down the shaft, and guys on any level could lean out into the shaft, grab that rope, operate this bell, and communicate with the gentleman that was running this machine that, can you help me push this? By the way, this thing still works, literally. We could fire this thing up tomorrow because it's protected and they made things a little bit different back then. This thing will never die. There's actually a story, this is a 10 horsepower engine, and there's a story about this thing where they dumped the fuel supply one day, just take any type of fuel, diesel, gas, whatever. They actually went down to the liquor store, bought all the Applejack whiskey they had, and ran it on whiskey for a day. It worked. Now, they standardized that bell system right here throughout the state of California, so the guys knew what they were doing no matter what mine they were in. It's a great safety feature. And why do you think this room is even here in the first place? It's big. That means that.
Sí, parece que estás abajo del mar.
Parece que tengo este respirador para que no me haga nada. Eso es un color.
Camínalo, pues.
Eso parece, ¿verdad? Para poder respirar lo que te está afuera.
Camínalo, pues.
Estamos abajo de la ¿verdad? Y qué casualidad que tengas como esto que yo tenía. Mira tú.
Tienes que apuntar la luz para ver si no lo puedo ver.
De seguro, ¿verdad? Yo que sí, seguro.
Camina.
¿Ustedes ponen nada acá abajo?
Porque viene mucha gente por eso. Ujú. Alessandro, con las dos manos agarra los lados y suelta.
He was a high-ranking Navy man. This was his retirement project. He worked for 2 years renovating this place so that we could do tours in it. And the area that we're standing in was completely collapsed. They kind of had to drag all the stuff out. They rebuilt everything to spec, but these are all new materials built in the original way.
I'm the caboose.
We got the caboose! Woo! All right, folks. This is the powder man's main tool for making bombs. What? A broomstick handle? Well, this was called a cartridge stick. He would wrap this in newspaper, slide the newspaper up so there was a hollow chamber off the end, fill that up with gunpowder, seal it off, take it off, seal the other end, poke a deep hole in it with this needle, and put a fuse in it. But they didn't want to buy fuses back then. They wanted to save a penny. The way that they made their fuses was by drying out reeds or squibs from a pond. Reeds have a hollow chamber inside. After you dry it out in the sun, they would pack it with gunpowder and get a free fuse. They even tried to standardize this. They put up little signs you can see throughout that say 52 seconds to 1 foot. That refers to how fast that reed would burn with the gunpowder in it. They would put about 5 foot of fuse on each bomb, giving them about 4.2 minutes to get the heck out of here and find a jump hole. Now, once they had their bombs made, they had to get them into the wall. They just duct tape it to the wall or what?
Yep.
Dig a hole.
Pick a hole. You can't really pick a hole good enough. They would have to drill a hole, but they had no drill. So they would drill it by hand. They would start off with one guy with a small hammer and a chisel, and he would basically start the hole off. That's called the process of single jacking. Once he had the hole started, they would switch to the process of double jacking. This was the bit used for double jacking. Now, one guy would hold this on his shoulder, like so, and press it against the rock. His friend would stand behind him by candlelight with this hammer. He would hit this bit as hard as he could 50 times per minute. If he could not hit it 50 times per minute, he was not good enough to work in the mine. The gentleman that was holding this bit was required to rotate it a fraction of an inch after each hit. It took about 1 hour to get 30 inches into the wall. They had to do this 5 times for each blast. It's about 5 hours of hard labor by candlelight. Now, once they had those holes made, they had to clean them out. There was a lot of rock shrapnel. If they put a bomb in there, it would blow shrapnel up like a shotgun. How they cleaned it was with a little air gun. They would place that against the hole, pull the back of it out, and it was like a suction. It would pull the rocks out, vacuum them out into the air gun. Once that was done, they would take a swab stick that looks like a miniature mop, dunk it in the water, put it in the hole, swirl it on the way out, and clean out the small particulates. Once that was done, they would line it or tamp it with clay to protect the newspaper from water, and finally place their fuses in. Now they wanted each bomb to go off at a different time for efficiency. The goal was for the middle bomb, they would, by the way, do this in a dice pattern. 1 in each corner, 1 in the middle, like 5 on a dice. They would want the middle hole to blow up first, then the top corners to blow up, and finally the bottom. If they did it right, when the bottom blew up, it would shift the top rocks out and cast them down on the floor. They would place a piece of metal there, and they could scoop them up easily and put them in an orifice. Any questions?
Is that an official outfit at the moment?
Yes, sir, definitely. They had me outfitted at the company store. I'm still in debt. The outfit costs 3 times as much, but I can't make my way down to town.
So for one blast, there can be 5 holes.
Yes, ma'am.
So how long do you basically intend to
About 5 hours, probably more, about 6.
5 hours per hole or per 5?
per 5 holes. So 30 inches into the wall, 1 hour. 5 holes, 5 hours. And they would oftentimes do the blast at the end of the shift. Makes sense. They were working on those holes throughout the shift. At the end of the shift, they get all the guys out. Boom! And then let the dust settle. That's actually where we get that phrase. Sometimes it can take up to 3 hours to let the dust settle. So oftentimes throughout the shift, they're making those holes, putting the bombs in. When everyone goes home, boom! And they go home. Everyone comes back the next day and excavates what they had taken out. Great questions. Any more questions? All right, nobody's allowed to sit down on the job except the boss. Let's head over to the boss's desk and take a seat. We got some benches. Take a load off. Have a seat.
Right.
Alessandro, cuando mires que se mira borroso, este botón de la cámara lo detienes y vas a mirar hasta que se ponga verde y ya se quita lo borroso. ¿Ok?
Wow.
Yeah, sit on his lap, you're awesome. Lap sitting is highly encouraged. Perfect, perfect. I think we got enough room for everybody. Excellent, all right. National Geographic in the back, here we come. All right, folks, they would work by candlelight here at the boss's desk and throughout the mine. This candlestick is called a Tommy stick. As you see, you could place it into a cracker hole. You could hang it from something throughout the mine like so. You could also carry it like a lantern. This had 3 different functions. Made of iron, very durable. They would place these about 30 to 40 feet throughout the tunnels to light them. Now on a windy day, they could be blown out and pitch black would be experienced. 1 lumen of light is oftentimes how they work. Who's ready to see what 1 lumen of light looks like? Hey boss, turn the lights off! There we go, folks. 1 lumen of light. You imagine swinging that hammer at the back of your friend's head for 5 hours straight, hitting it 50 times a minute with this light. Pretty incredible, right? Now the boss would be sitting here taking notes of everything happening. It wasn't easy to steal from the mine, but people were certainly trying. He would keep a ledger of everything passing by him. Now if the ledger that was inside here didn't line up with what was going on outside the mine, they had a thief in the mine. They dealt with thieves with swift justice back then. Usually just a horse and a rope would solve the problem. If not, they would kindly shoot the gentleman in the elbow or the knee. That would render him useless to the other mines. If he tried to walk over to one of the other 200 mines in the region, they would see his wound and say, that's the wound of a thief. And you probably can't swing a pickaxe very well for 12 hours. Get out of here. So they'd send him packing, and he would probably wind up as either the town drunk or make his way down to the coast, working in the textile industry in a sweatshop for only 25 cents a day, no longer able to earn that $1.50 miner's pay. Now, as I mentioned, the miners would enter the mine in the pitch black. Would anyone like to see how dark it gets in the mine?
Yes.
The gentleman with the camera, if you would like to see how dark it gets, please blow this candle out. Look behind you. You are exiting a different mine's entrance. We went into the Eagle Mine. We have exited the High Peak Mine. They had their own ore cart on their own track. As I mentioned, it would come barreling out.
Como
full
punta,
of 1 ton of ore.
como la punta de una montaña se llama peak.
Gold bearing. They had a backstop for the chute. They used to rock on the left-hand side. The right-hand side, they dumped the rocks they didn't want. Probably 90% of the rocks they took out of here they did not want. Who's got a question? You're too easy. They would simply do it by order, kind of. This guy would know, they would communicate with him, and it was pretty simple. It took a while to get these parts in and out, so to kind of communicate that before they sent it out. Great question, any more? Great question, yes ma'am. 62 degrees year round in the mine. No wind, no sun, no rain really reaches into there. Therefore the temperature does not change. In the winter, when it's cold out here, it feels warm in there. When it gets too hot out here, it actually feels cool in there. 62 degrees year round. Great question. Any more? No TNT. They only use gunpowder in these mines. So these high explosives that were available were expensive, and the guys were actually like kind of leery about it. They didn't know how much of a boom was going to go. With the gunpowder, they were able to control the size of the boat. Great question. Bad question.
Have there been any casualties?
There were only 2 casualties.
Wow.
The boss's desk
Estuvo
that we
loco
were sitting
eso.
at, Foreman Boswell.
Entonces,
He
cuando se
did
apagó la
pass
luz,
away along
ustedes no
with
pudieron
Mr.
ver
Sidney
porque
Pettit.
nos pidieron que
They
los
were
que
expecting
tenían
a
cámaras y eso
collapse. While
apagáramos
others
las
laughed and
luces
heard
y las
Mr.
apagáramos.
about
Y
this
pues
event.
la cámara
Mr.
esta
Sidney
tiene
Pettit was killed
una pantalla
instantly
para
by
poder ver
rocks.
lo que está
Mr.
grabando y
Boswell
pues
was smart enough to
es
get
el
up against the
cialismo
beam.
lo que
He
tiene un
got
poquito
buried
hay que
against the
hacerlo y
beam
pues
and
lo
survived.
tuvimos que apagar
They dug
obviamente
him
la
out, he
cámara
brushed
para
himself
así
off,
grabar,
went home
pero
with his wife,
como se iba
died
en un momento
36
se
hours
fue la
later
luz.
of internal injuries. Other
Ay,
than that, the mine
incluso
had no
más que
accidents and
se
no
apagó.
injuries.
Yo apagué la
I said we
vela.
didn't report accidents or
Eso pasó.
injuries. You
Se
lost
apagó
your
la
job
vela y
if
luego
you
ya
reported
estábamos
it,
todos
and if you died,
oscuras.
oh, that was
Y tenía
natural
miedo
causes,
porque
literally.
dijo algo de que se te
The
podían
guys were still
al no
closest
se les
to the
dañaban los
number
ojos
one
por estar
death.
tanto
They
tiempo
said they
así
wrote that down
en la
as
oscuridad
natural
mirando,
causes
así que
for
me
the
dio miedo y cerrar los
cyanide
ojos.
consumption.
Luego de eso intenté
Consumption
usar
was
esta
used
cosa
in a
de
lot
aquí,
of deaths
porque esta
related to
cosa brilla, si la piensas mucho tiempo al sol y te metes adentro, en la parte oscura va a empezar a brillar. Y pues no está brillando tanto. Y pues,
We have a cemetery here in town. You can head over there, add up the dates yourself. The men live to about 40, maybe 50. The ladies live till 70, 80. Now, there's only 9 ladies in town for 150 men. They would come line up outside here in their finest clothing after each shift. How do you think they did that?
To get someone from the mines.
The ladies, well, they already had someone. It wasn't hard for them to find someone. They would show up all dressed up because the miners got paid cash, and this was a rough and tumble bachelor miner town full of saloons. They'd grab the money right out of their husband's hand and take him home. All the other guys were headed to the saloon, and the wives did not want their husband going to the saloon. Heck yeah. Any questions?
So where's the saloon?
Where's the saloon? You got any money? Let's go.
I got some.
So the price of gold with the Great Depression, a lot of things happened in the late 30s that made it no longer profitable. One of the biggest things that happened was strip mining started taking over. Strip mining is where they would take the top level of the mountain, clear off, sell every part of it, turned into gravel, take the metals out, sell everything, take the next level, until the mountain is a hole in the ground, and they would excavate that as a quarry. That is strip mining, and that's why it's controversial.
I was gonna ask you that. Why would we just do it from lake to lake?
Yep, exactly. So that was before strip mining with the big equipment, and after underground hard rock mining, which this was hydraulic mining. That is simply where they would bring a huge hose in and just spray the mountain and wash all the dirt away and reveal the quartz outcropping.
Wow.
Very, very destructive. We can actually see a lot of the residue or residual impact of that throughout California. Great questions. Let's hear some more. Bullet shots. No, there's actually a raccoon there the other day. I got on my slingshot, got a few rounds off, but then he pulled out a slingshot, started firing back, so I got the heck out of there. I called up PETA. I think he might still be in there. Let's not get too close. That was the original truck used by Mr. Ed Sprague, a high-ranking Navy man who bought this property in 1965. He actually used that truck to renovate this property and bring it up to the standard that it is so that we can offer tours. He worked for 2 hard years on it. His grandson Paul was over by the barbecue grill, more in the gift shop. Paul was carrying on the family tradition, 3rd generation. We like to say he's got geology in his biology and genealogy. All right, folks, this is Rattlesnake season. As we work our way back from whence we came, let's watch our steps. Try not to get too close to the edges. That is where the snakes might be. Please follow me.
Dale, hijo. ¿Qué pasó? Dijo que volviéramos este 6. Lo usaban para medicinas. Los Cuyamacas.
Así huele como una hamburguesa, como la puta hamburguesa.
Oh, sí.
No huele muy fuerte.
Que abran ese camino para allá para arriba.
Aquí al baño.
Ahorita vamos. Wow.
Who needs to see the rock crusher? Raise your hand. You're coming with me to see the rock crusher. We'll see who's up there. If you've already seen the rock crusher pan for gold, you are free to make yourself at home. We've got a history wall in our rock shop with the original record machine, newspaper clippings, pictures. We've got cool picture photo opportunities, shady spots. My name is Jason. Let me know what else I can do for you. Thanks for making it up the Dusty Trail. Those that are not finished, come with me. Thank you.
Vamos a ir al Rock Crusher, hijo. ¿Ves esa piedra? Wow. Ahorita vamos a grabar eso. Tenemos que ir con él. Vamos a ir a ver el Rock Crusher. Una máquina gigante que quiebra piedras.
Grandfather Ned's Greg, pay $1 a blister. I'm not kidding. That's why Politics Ground doesn't work anymore. He's already worked too hard.
Oh, wow. Mira, hijo.
Ahí se puede subir, mira.
Ajá.
All right, folks, look at these rock crusher machines. Why the heck are we crushing rocks anyway?
See what's inside?
See what's inside. There's gold in them there rocks, and we're getting the gold out, folks. So, we got a 1 stamp crusher and a 5 stamp crusher. We use the 1 stamp crusher to test out 1 ton of ore to make sure that we got 1 ounce of gold. If we didn't get 1 ounce of gold for a ton of rocks, it didn't make sense to run it through this bigger machine. This was a very profitable mountain. We generally got 2 to 4 ounces of gold per ton, so we use this machine a whole bunch. If you look on the back, it's got a hopper. That's where we put the rocks and trickled water from that water tank right there. That's our original water tank on the side of the hill. This was originally located over there by the mine entrance. Oh, I love you,
I
bud.
hope there's no ants or bees that
I'll
crawl
take the
into it.
So this was originally located on that concrete pad that we saw on the right-hand side when we entered the mine. We moved it over here to rehabilitate it, paint it red, and show it to you guys. It was steam powered. There was a big steam engine that turned this huge wheel with the belt, thereby rotating that axle, which has cams on it, those red-looking 6 things. Those would rotate and lift each pole up, and then allow it to fall, crushing the rock by gravity. At the end of each one of those poles was a stamp. Not like a stamp on an envelope, or like stamp your feet kind of stamp. A top stamp looked like this, brand new. A bottom stamp looked like this. That's what it looked like after 8 months of use. Very powerful. 1,250 pounds of pressure hitting those rocks, we would crush them into a talcum powder-like consistency. They were so fine they could pass through these 2 screens on the front, after which they would hit the amalgamation table underneath that piece of wood. An amalgamation table is a big piece of copper smeared with mercury. Mercury sticks to copper, gold is absorbed by mercury. Therefore, when that rock slurry, if you will, rock powder mixed with water, passed over this amalgamation table, 80% of the gold was absorbed into the mercury. They wanted more than 80%, so they didn't stop there. Miner's moss was the next function, or the next phase. It's simply a fabric with ridges. It kind of looks like a welcome mat. Since gold is heavy, it gets caught in the ridges, and they would pay the miners' wives to tweeze the gold out at night by candlelight. After a while, Levi Strauss invented mass-produced corduroy. They threw corduroy in there because of the ridges. Gold would get stuck in there. They would burn it once it dried out and pan the ashes for gold. Final phase was this huge shaker table. It's like...
Aquí estamos listos. Vamos a agarrar un poquito de barbecue. El señor está ya cocinándolo para nosotros. Oh, yeah.
La verdad es que este me dio más risa que el del video.
For the hot dog, medium's fine.
No,
Sí.
The grill dog. All the fixings here for the dogs.
Perfect, thank you, sir.
And then a tape.
me pareció mejor que en el video porque este se la pasaba haciendo cosas y todo el tiempo.
Sí, mucho mejor que el señor del video.
Ay, en el video va todo formal, lo hacían de madre. Oye, sí.
Vamos a comer poquito barbecue y hot dogs aquí originales. Ahí está la señora. Can I take a picture of you with my son?
What's that?
Can I take a picture of you with my